Chapter 192. Attention. Audrey analyzed many things at once as her mind whirled. Mr. Hangman said that Kalongos was a lone wolf who doesn't trust anyone. Only he would know of his own plan. Other than my early discovery of him, there shouldn't have been anyone else who knew he would attempt the assassination tonight. I only told Father and Mr. Fool that I suspected that Kalongos was disguised as Baron Grimir. Although there's a telegram cable in Duke Negan's mansion, and he would have been able to send out information in time to ask for help. There's no reason to hide that Dad's puzzlement implies that the powerful being that killed Kalongos wasn't within their expectations. Combining all of the above, I can almost be certain that the person who killed Kalongos was Mr. Fulsador. Plus, only the unique model of the Tarot Club can create such a strange situation with unclear motives. Kalongos was a Sequence 6 wine blessed, and he had the magical item, the creeping hunger. To be able to quickly kill him without leaving any traces behind, it could only be a high sequence beyonder, known also as Demigods, right? Or maybe he used a sealed artifact which possesses immense danger. Regardless of the possibility, it shows that Mr. Fool's adorer is extremely powerful. Mr. Fool lives up to his reputation. Regardless, I certainly provided clues, so Mr. Hangman has to carry out his promise and pass me the pituitary gland of a rainbow salamander. This should be our Tarot Club's very first mission, right? One of the 7 pirate admirals, Kalongos, died because of us. Looking at his daughter, who seemed excited, Count Hall, who was a handsome man in his youth, coughed lightly and warned his daughter with a mask of solemnity. Audrey, I know that you're very interested in mysticism, and I normally tolerate it, but you mustn't be involved in this. You can't even ask about it. You will be introduced by the Queen to the Backland social scene events by the end of this year. As an adult, you should clearly know and remember that a terrifying beyonder, or a powerful, hidden organization, is equivalent to danger. Do you understand that? Yes, Father, Audrey replied charmingly. I was just a little curious. Curiosity won't do either, Count Hall emphasized, and he couldn't help but let out a helpless smile. Okay, Audrey nodded obediently. I understand the whole incident better than you do anyway. She made a silly face in her head. Count Hall thought and said with a gentle smile, regardless, you are the heroine tonight, the savior of Duke Negan. Half of the reason why Kalongos is dead is partially because of you, and it's the same with the bounty. Of course, if there's no one that admits to killing Kalongos and comes to receive the bounty, the remaining half of it will be yours too. Added together, it will be 10,000 pounds in total. The bounty set up by the Intis Republic, the Fasak Empire, and other countries and organizations could be received as well. After conversion, there should be about 20,000 pounds in total. Duke Negan promised that he would give you his holiday estate at Desi Bay as a gift. It includes a huge rubber tree plantation. I don't know the annual profit exactly, but it definitely won't be low. He spent 8,000 pounds to buy it back then and later, even built a house and purchased good quality seeds for planting. Audrey, who already had an inheritance of 300,000 pounds, was considered rich. However, a reward that was almost 40,000 pounds was still a huge amount of income. Many noble ladies wouldn't even receive such a figure as a dowry. In an allied marriage of a noble and a businessman in August, Miss Mary Oldberry, the daughter of a millionaire, only had an 80,000 pound dowry. I never considered the bounty, Audrey muttered inwardly. Suddenly, she thought of something. If she were to receive the bounty and her name spread, the hangman could easily find out who Justice was. This can't happen. As a member of the Tarot Club, I have to maintain a sense of mystery. Audrey looked towards her dad and reorganized her words. Dad, I'm a little worried. Why? What happened? Count Hall asked in concern. If it were to spread that I found out that Kalongos was disguised as Baron Grimir, I'm afraid that his underlings would take revenge on me. I'm afraid that whoever instructed Kalongos to assassinate Duke Negan would target me. Audrey tried to make herself seem pitiful, weak, and helpless. I'll hire someone to protect you, Count Hall replied. Then, he nodded faintly and said, there's really no need for you to take such a risk. Plus, the person that killed Kalongos took the creeping hunger. Of course, to a high-sequence beyonder, that wouldn't be a strong enough motive for interfering. Yes, I'll inform Duke Negan to keep this a secret and tell someone else to receive the bounty on your behalf and compensate you in private. Then, Count Hall smiled and said, you really are my daughter. You earned 40,000 pounds so easily. This is more than 1/10 of your current wealth. The 300,000 pounds was what he had set aside for her in advance. He would still add in another part when she got married as his daughter's inheritance. Am I as good as you were? Audrey happily asked in reply. Count Hall shook his head and laughed. Much better than I was. The profit from my very first business venture was only 60 pounds. Audrey suddenly became extremely thrilled. The satisfaction derived from receiving a 40,000 pound bounty, getting her father's compliment, causing Kalongos' death, completing an extraordinary task, and the reward of a rainbow salamander's pituitary gland that she was going to get from the hangman amplified her happiness. I really want to report this to Mr. Fool to get his reassurance. No way. A powerful, mysterious being killed Kalongos with an unknown motive. There might be someone observing me in secret, looking for clues regarding Kalongos' death. I can't show any hint of abnormality, Pui. There's nothing abnormal about me to begin with, as long as I don't attempt to recite Mr. Fool's honorary name. If Mr. Fool's adorer was really the murderer, he must have already known the outcome. He wouldn't need me to report it to him. Well, do I need to share the bounty with the adorer? No matter what kind of payment method is used to transfer 20,000 pounds, it would definitely draw attention. I can't take the risk. Plus, it has always been the hangman who's been asking for help from Mr. Fool. Technically, he should pay the reward. Yes. After all, he declared that he had many pages of Emperor Roselle's diary. I'll try to gather more pages of the diary to thank Mr. Fool for answering my prayers. He definitely wouldn't be interested in crass money. Audrey quickly determined her next course of action. In Duke Negan's mansion, in a secret study room, the fat and tall Duke sat on a high-back chair behind a desk. He was smoking a cigar as he looked at the spellsinger of Goddess Snake, Prime Minister Iron Negan, and the others opposite him. Based on our current knowledge, we still aren't certain of the identity of the high-sequence beyonder that killed Kalongos. Prime Minister Agassiz Negan had just rushed over from the king's side. Archbishop Snake nodded. We've determined that it wasn't any of the high-sequence beyonders that we're familiar with or the numinous episcopate either. We have sufficient reason to believe that it's a powerful, mysterious beyonder we aren't aware of. Of course, we haven't eliminated the possibility that the person was using a dangerous sealed artifact. Duke Negan held his cigar and said, maybe it wasn't just a high-sequence beyonder. There might be a hidden organization behind that person, a hidden organization that we don't know enough about. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to lay an ambush for Kalongos so accurately. Yes, perhaps one of the guests at tonight's ball is a member of theirs. His brother, Prime Minister Agassiz stated solemnly, regardless of that possibility, we have to be careful. We have to quickly find out the identity of the high-sequence beyonder, the purpose of his presence in Backland, and why he killed Kalongos. A high-sequence beyonder that they didn't know about, who wandering in Backland, was sufficient to draw attention from the government and 3 major churches? Although a Sequence 4 or Sequence 3 beyonder might not be able to withstand the cannon attacks of their warships, There was no need for them to experience a frontal assault. They possessed too much of a mysterious power. Hence, they were existences even more dangerous than ironclad warships. Hence the reason why they were called demigods. Spellsinger of Goddess Snake stood up and said, "Let me make some arrangements and get into contact with the Church of the Evernight Goddess, the Church of the God of Steam, and Machinery Hive Mind. His Majesty will allow the military and the intelligence agencies to cooperate," Prime Minister Agassiz promised. In a hotel in the North Borough of Backland, Isaac sat under a gas lamp and looked at the glove before him. The glove was very thin, as though it was made from human skin. It seemed that, as long as it was filled with flesh and blood, it would turn into a hand. Isaac looked at it for a very long time. His face suddenly contorted in agony and pain as he muttered, "I seem to have cooperated with them before." Klein didn't sleep well the entire night because he didn't receive any reports from Justice or the hangman, nor did he receive any reply from Mr. Isaac. He kept thinking about the outcome of the incident with Kalongos. It must have been quite a scene if Miss Justice and Mr. Hangman didn't dare to contact me recklessly, but why didn't Mr. Isaac reply to my letter? Did he not get involved? Or was there an accident? Did Kalongos hurt him? Klein extended his hand and covered his mouth as he yawned. He got onto the trackless carriage that headed for Zoutland Street. Extra, Rear Admiral Hurricane Kalongos killed in Backland. Extra, Rear Admiral Hurricane Kalongos killed in Backland. Just as the carriage was about to set off, Klein suddenly heard the paperboy, which was also one of the Emperor Rosel's inventions. Klein was momentarily stunned as he quickly fished out a penny and bought the Tingen Morning Post. Many passengers made the same choice. He opened the newspaper and quickly read the headline, "Pirate Kalongos shot dead by Duke's bodyguard in Backland. Kalongos died. Mr. Isaac did it." Klein fell into deep thought and lampooned himself. As the boss behind the scenes, I actually had to find out the outcome from the newspapers.